All right. I am live. Welcome to our Success Mastermind for Thursday, the 28th of October, 2021. John Lavenia here with you. And not for long, I'm getting on a plane later today, taking my daughter to do something she's wanted to do for a little while now, for her birthday. Anybody ever heard of Dude Perfect? We're going to go see Dude Perfect live. Stunts and these wacky guys doing zany stuff. And anyway, we're gonna go have that experience. Good to see Lindsay here, and actually don't see anybody else. I do see Lindsay, and I do see everybody who's tuning in on YouTube or on the recording. It's been a busy morning already. Lindsay, has it been busy for you? Yeah,
Yes.
I see. Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, good. Good.
I'm
Look at that
getting up at
smile.
11:30. So
There you go. Just Lindsay's smile. That's the entire session right there. Lindsay is busy. She's on purpose. She's doing things. Oh man, I'm happy. Okay, good. A couple things. As I already mentioned, I'm going to be doing some traveling. So today we have nothing more on the schedule for today. Tomorrow, I will be doing Fun Friday live from my location, which I will reveal to you. But we do have practical entrepreneurial tips tomorrow at 4 a.m. Pacific, which is noon British summertime. Which reminds me, we're about a week out from switching to standard time here in North America and in the UK, I think. A lot of the southern hemisphere is already on daylight time. So anyway, make sure you look at your clocks as necessary. Of course, here in Arizona, we don't do daylight time. So the rest of the world changes. Ours never do. Screws up my calendar twice a year. Whatever, right? I'll deal with it. But anyway, back to what we're doing right now in present time, because present time is a good time to get things done. In fact, it's the only time. It's the only time to get things done. I've got attention on a couple things that, and the first one being Parkinson's law. And Parkinson's law is that work expands to fill the time allowed for it. So here's the consideration that I had around that. I had a busy morning already. I had to move a couple things around. I have less time. I have less time now because I've got to catch the plane and all the rest of the doing this that's happening later in the day. And yet I do have quite an agenda today, right? So I've already been in contact. It's 9:00 in the morning. I've already been in contact with 3-4 clients, not to mention some admin staff on one of my businesses, and answering questions over here and doing this over there. And I wiped out my entire email inbox in about 48 seconds. I went through, and I think this is instructive for everyone, especially if you've been encumbered with other people's agendas for you that tend to take your time and expand the amount of time it takes for you to get the stuff you need to get done actually done. So I've got different mailboxes for different purposes. And I go through the inbox for each one, right? And I see there's all those emails. That's the one that needs to be answered. Answer it now. Touch it once. Touch it once. All right. Now it's done and it's deleted. All those other ones there, scanning. Command A on a Mac, Control A on a PC means select all, and then the delete button, right? So I answered the ones, I touched them once, answered the ones that need to be answered. Command A, delete, next inbox, scan, answer, Command A, delete, right? And I went through that and it was fast. Okay, now I also keep up with it. I'm bringing this up for you because I guess the theme for today is how can we get more done in less time? And I just gave you one example. I suppose if I had anything in my inbox right now, I could give you a demo, but I already did it. Okay, I already did it. So is that helpful for you? Well, I think so, right? If you've been encumbered with, and that's just one example, is an email inbox, which is, I think everyone has that. Certainly everyone here, we're all online, business people, and who isn't these days, in the age of COVID, right? A lot of people are working online. Well, everything you do online leads to more things you could do online. Every email you respond to or every list you get on leads to more lists that you can get on. Because I've got different boxes for different addresses, I'm able to compartmentalize and sort and then know the context of like this is always a business box. Okay. And I see lots of things in there, which are automations and calendar events or whatever. That's fine. I don't need to look at all those. Oh, but here's the person who replied to the actual communication. This is actually someone writing an email to me. Oh, okay, great. I can respond to that. All right. So this is just one tool we're talking about is email. And whereas a lot of people have thrown their hands in the air and just said, you know what, I can't manage this. Right. I don't know what to do. I need to hire somebody to, just to read my emails for me. I think if you systemize this, especially with, a lot of small business owners here. I don't know. Excuse me. I don't know if anyone here on this call right now, we're watching this on YouTube, is running a $1 billion corporation or anything. Well, if that's the case, then you've got staff to handle that. You've got a communicator, you've got gatekeepers. Okay. But if you're just starting out, right, you're not, or if you just got, less than a couple employees or whatever, then you probably don't need, to hire a staff to handle the inbound communications. So this is one way that you can expedite things that are, that could impinge on your attention and don't need to unnecessarily. What's another way? What's another way that we can save time, get more done in less time, recognizing Parkinson's law that work expands to fill the time allowed for it? Can anybody think of some ideas on that? I'm thinking of one. Yes, Lindsay, you have an idea?
Block schedule.
Block scheduling. Fantastic. Yep. Okay, so with block scheduling, we have a calendar, okay, and a calendar, a singular, okay. It's like the old proverb, the man with a clock knows what time it is. The man with two clocks is never quite sure. Okay, so one clock, all right. So, and you can have lots of clocks, obviously, but the idea that everything converges on one calendar. I've got many calendars, right, that converge onto one, because I've got, software over here that's pushing people to the appointments, which I said I would be available at that time. Okay, but here's the other calendar for the other appointments with the other business, right? And so the one calendar, in my case, I'm just using iCal, iCloud, Apple Calendar, because I use Mac, and it synchronizes to my phone, and it's all very nice. And I can look at my wife's events and my daughter's events, and I know everything that's going on. Okay, and I color code everything so that these business items are in red, these ones are in green, blue, yellow, right? So I've got all these different things. In fact, the John Lavenia Success Mastermind is gold, right? So that shows up in gold on my calendar, because this is gold, because you guys are gold in my world. You're gold. All right. So, so this way, each of these subordinate calendars can look and see what's happening with John here and there. He's available. He's not available. Don't double book him, right? Please don't double book me. Very rarely that happens, because I've got order. I've created order using this technology. So just like I've created order in my inboxes, which I've got segmented for different purposes, and which I can go through very quickly and see what I'm looking for, which is real communication that actually needs to be answered, and then destroy the rest. Just wipe it out. Okay. By the way, if I make a mistake on that, deleting something doesn't mean it's permanently deleted. I could still search for it. Just search for any keywords I want. And there's all the stuff, right? And you're in the trash, it's in this box, wherever it happens to be, that's where it is. Okay. So same thing here with the calendar. I have all these things that I can see. Lindsay mentioned block scheduling, right? And there are things that I know that must happen in that period of time. We've talked about this before, but I'm going to touch on it again, because I think this can create a lot of order for you, obviously on your calendar, but also mentally, because if it's not written, then we walk around with it as mental baggage. Oh, I need to do that. Oh, I need to do that. Well, if we just write it, put it on our calendar, block off the time for it, now it's off our mind, and we can be more objective about it. Objective meaning object, look at the object, right? There it is. It's no longer subjective as a mental ambiguity or something. It's now an object in my life. There it is. Very therapeutic, right? Very therapeutic. So, and if you haven't done this, I urge you to do so, is to make things as objective as possible. And so in this case, I know what to do. Back to the topic that comes up for us again and again and again here in this group. which is how to kill a bunch of time and get nothing done, which is called indecision, right? So if I know what to do, well, then that was a decision, right? I know what to do. I've decided. There it is. Look at it. It's on the calendar, as opposed to being vague or undecided about that. Now, what about these other things that aren't scheduled? And again, we've talked about this before, but there's a strategy known as, actually, I don't know what it's known as. Well, it's prioritization, I suppose you could say. But these are things that are not time bound. These are things that have a bit more fluidity to them, but they're priorities nonetheless, or at least they should be. And what we know is that if everything's a priority, well, then nothing is. So there was this guy named Ivy Lee who was like a strategist or something. This is going back to the early 1900s. And he walked into Charles Schwab's office, the actual Charles Schwab, and said, hey, I've got an idea for you to help you with your business productivity, which I guess may have been amusing to Charles Schwab, since he's one of the most successful guys of his era, right, in terms of investing and all this. He's the guy to put together the deal for U.S. Steel, which became Bethlehem Steel, Andrew Carnegie, J.P. Morgan, those guys. So Schwab was a salesman, like a hardcore salesman, great communicator. But he said, all right, show me your idea. And so what Ivy Lee said was, here's what you do, Mr. Schwab, write down everything that you intend to accomplish tomorrow. Fantastic. And he did as instructed. He said, great. Now number them in importance, starting with the most important, and put 1 next to that. And then second most important, put 2, right? And on you go. And he said, here's the plan. Tomorrow, when you come into your office, start with number 1 and don't go on to number 2 until you've completed number 1. And Charles Schwab said, okay, I'll do that. I'll pay, whatever I think it's worth. Give me some time. A month later, I think it was around a month, Ivy Lee received a check and a letter from Charles Schwab saying, this is the best advice I've ever gotten from a business management standpoint. Here's a check for $20,000 in like the year 1899 or whatever, which is, I don't know, worth more or less every day, depending on which scale you're looking at, right? I think the dollar is worth about 2% of what it was back then. This is, of course, before, centralized banking, Federal Reserve, and all that nonsense that we've been dealing with for a century, and probably not much longer. But anyway, profound, right? So if it was worth 20 grand, in the year 1900 or whatever, to Charles Schwab, can you use that? Free, by the way, although I suppose we could pass the collection basket right now, if you like. Can I get an amen on that? Pass the collection basket. But yeah, take it, do what you like with it, right? So these two ways of handling your calendar. All right. So we've got time-bound events, which we can call block scheduling. And one of those blocks could be handle my priority list, right? Or any white space on the calendar. White space is dangerous, right? Because work expands to fill the time allowed for it. Here's a bunch of time allowed for what? I don't know. Oh boy, right? So when you don't have the luxury of time, you tend to get more done in less time. In fact, I had this idea while working out, I had this idea about the most expensive luxury in the world, the most expensive luxury item, the most costly luxury item in the world. And people might start thinking, oh, is that a Lamborghini? Is that a Bugatti? Is that, the luxury yacht? No, the most expensive luxury that I can't even afford is indecision. Indecision. What a luxury to be able to sit there and piss away time like you're immortal. Wow. You must be like the richest man in the universe. Oh my goodness. And it's kind of funny to think of it that way. And yet, how many of us do that? I know Lindsay's not doing that. She's on purpose. My goodness, she's on fire. Watch her burn. Awesome. Right? So anyway, the reason I bring this up is because it's very real right now for me. And yet this is my golden time. I get to, participate a few times a week with everyone here in the general session. I do want to give a shout out to Adrian and Ego and and Mandy and Ivier and Glenn and all the people who hold down the fort when I'm not able to be here because I am booked solid. But my goodness, this is a labor of love. So a couple ideas for you there, right? Compartmentalize, block scheduling, prioritize, and with ferocity. There's a word I don't use too often. With ferocity, eliminate distractions, things that could take you off course. Because look, we don't get paid for, punching a clock around here, right? We all got businesses. Some of you are working jobs and you might get paid for punching a clock, but the end result of you engaging in something entrepreneurial and whatever you're doing above and beyond whatever the status quo was, before you showed up in this, entrepreneurial philosophical community, well, you get paid for results. Or as I think it was Napoleon Hill who said, you don't get paid for what you know, but what you do with what you know. So how much doing this can you accomplish in this 24 hours, which you and I were given? And we don't know how many units of those we're going to get, by the way. Right. So you don't get any guarantees on that deal. Anyway, I'm excited. I'm excited that I'm taking my daughter to go see this wacky stunt show or whatever it is. And these guys apparently got millions of followers on YouTube. Anybody ever heard of Dude Perfect? I saw one or two videos of them where they're like launching basketballs across like 5 football fields and trying to make a basket using a cannon or something. And they made like hamster balls, but like human size hamster balls. And they're going through like mazes, like these grown men. So it's, zany kind of stunts and whatever, but yeah, we got VIP tickets for that. So we're going to have a meet and greet with the dudes. Trinity said it's on her bucket list. She's got a bucket list at 11 years old. All right. Yeah, there you go. Intent. Right? Intention, right? What do you want? Great. Start. All right, my friends, that's all my thoughts for today. Any other thoughts? I'd love to hear. We already got to hear from Lindsay. I'd love to hear from her some more. We got Edward here and Jenna and Virginia. Come on out. No need to raise hands. It's an intimate crowd today. Hey, Virginia.
Hey, good morning, afternoon, evening.
Morning here.
Yes, so it's a great topic because things seem to always come at the time that I need them. And I was just sitting here with my book, going all the blank spaces. And yes, work fills up to take all that time. And what I have struggled the most with is I have a list, but then allocating the time to my week to accomplish those things. And, I've been through Shannon's accelerator course. So I know too how to do that. And it just, for whatever reason, I'll plug it in and then go do something totally different, and I don't know if it's because I really don't want to do that thing. This week, I was focused on redoing my living trust because should I die, everything would go to my ex-husband, and we've been divorced since 2006. So that's kind of like dumb.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't changed these. And so I will have that finalized Friday. And I just sat down Monday night during part of book study, and started looking at these documents and seeing what I needed to change and revise and what I wanted to do. And, getting it done, it feels so good to use that 4-letter word.
Yes.
Done. And in this case, nearly perfect. But
can I ask you a question about that?
Yes.
Because we're using third-party services, like Legal Shield is one that's pretty popular. Because I can't read that stuff. My brain turns to mush. Too many misunderstood words. I don't know. What are we talking about, right? So do you do that, or do you have do you have an eye for legalese or?
I've used Legal Shield in the past. I used to have them when I had my company, my construction company years ago with my ex. I know someone who's very high up in Legal Shield. So if I use them again, I'm going to go through them. To answer your question, basically, in a way, yes. And what I did is I take the documents that I've already had. I've had lawyers, input years ago. I've had my cousin who was a paralegal for years, input years ago. And we've, I just search and replace Okay, so I'm not in Florida anymore. I'm changing this to Colorado. I actually had to look up some of the statutes because they were different in quoting Florida statutes, quoting Colorado statutes. But I highly recommend, and even Shannon's special thing she had on last night, where she had the tax speaker, Nicole, I think her name was excellent. And she first said too, you need a living trust. That's what you really should have, as opposed to wills or things like that. So I'm like, great, I'm getting this done. And yeah, I could have done that. I was so impressed years ago when I saw this setup presentation that I took my in-laws to. I almost wanted to open the business and just say, wow, this is what everybody needs. This is how you set it up. This is how you do it, and come on in. But, that was another, you get so many business ideas when you have an entrepreneurial type mind, right, and you can't pursue every one of them.
Right. There. Well, thank you for the insight on that, because that's been a point of indecision for me. It's like, I don't know how to manage these documents. I don't know what this is. Right. So I'm getting help with that.
If you don't have a trust, get a living trust, which is revocable, and until you die. And then of course, at that point, you can't change your mind, and decide.
That's open for debate, says Jen.
Yeah, exactly. So, okay, well, this is how it's going to be. And I've had 3 people. My in-laws passed away. My mother passed away, and we had all those documents in place, and it was super easy to execute. No problem. Nobody challenges anything. So get those things. The hardest part is deciding what to do with what, especially if you have, like in our cases, we may have perpetuation. My cookie book, who's going to get the royalties for that? If I'm gone, that's going to continue. Other businesses that you've built, in your case, maybe it's all going to go to Trinity, but in other people's cases, it's not as clear as what they want to do with that. So that's the hardest thing, is deciding what you're going to do with your continuing income too, as well.
I agree. And a living trust, let me put that in there. My parents had one. My mom passed first, so things went to my dad, and then he did. So that there's no probate. There's no questions. It's there. It's clear. It's there. Things slide over. It's great. It is the way to go. I totally agree with you, Virginia. John, thank you for, I'm dreadful, not bad or terrible. I'm dreadful at time management. I don't know if it's an ADD thing or what it is, but I don't know how long something's going to take. And this is a real problem, in having my studio where I do things for people. Well, charging, how long is it going to take me, etc., because they pay for talent plus execution of said thing. So all of that's really hard. So that you had the unscheduled approach as well as the block schedule approach is really more helpful to me. I mean, yes, I will still do block things. I will set things up as projects, because that really is how I do best, how I function. This is a project. These are the things that need to get done to fulfill that project. Prioritize them, put them into blocks that may or may not fulfill themselves. Maybe I'll get it done. I'll put a 2-hour block and it'll take me 45 minutes. Great. Now I've got that extra time. How do I get that to be, or do I just move everything up?
Well, that's beautiful. I mean, if you're overestimating the amount of time it takes to get stuff done, then wow, you're pretty efficient. Maybe you're not giving yourself credit.
That was one example. There are many examples where it's like, oh, I thought I was going to get this done in 2 hours, and it's hour 6 now, and I'm still working on it. So thank you, John. But truth is truth. So, so it's the being flexible thing, this is what has to get done, and then that, and then that, and then that. probably works better for a flow with me because I'm not good at figuring out, and I'm not good at, and then I've told you guys, my health is an issue. So in the middle of the day, my head goes, ooh, and then my body goes, not happening. so I have a lot of things to reconcile. So I think that the open flow plan works better for me, and or a combination, but it's a good way. So thank you for reminding us of that. And that's how I will probably do better with that kind of a plan. But
Beautiful.
thank you, John.
Thank you, Janet. Glad you're here, my friend. Always a pleasure. All right.
I completely agree with you, Janet. It's a combination of both. So I have the things that have to happen at a certain time, like the JLSM meetings and different places I have to be, or classes I have to do, or presentations, things. But like in my example of sitting down this week and doing my trust, I didn't have that blocked out. I just started it. And I look at things as projects. What has to happen till I get this project off my plate? You know, Stuart just put a new project on me last night. He texted me about my Cookies Around the World website. I love you, Stuart, if you listen to this replay. But he wants me to do the search engine optimization so that when people search for my website in Google, it's going to come up, showing. And so he texted me all these examples and things, and I'm like, I love it, thank you so much, this is great. Now I have one more thing to put on my plate. I've got to get done maybe this week or next week. But I look at it as projects too. What has to happen, because it's hard. I've had jobs where you have to keep changing your mindset and your perspective, and it's hard to do that and keep a flow when you have an hour or two that you're coming from this perspective, a customer service or whatever, and the other hour or two now you're in sales, or the other hour or two now you're in administration. Is hard. So it's easier for me also to say, okay, this is a project, I've got to get it done. I'm not going to change thought process after an hour or two. I keep trying. In fact, this was something I was working on this morning just before the call. Can I put in these blocks, and can I stick to that? Can I, when 2 hours is up, am I going to set it down and go on to the next thing in my calendar? Because at that point I'm in a groove, I'm making flow.
That's right.
And I hate to stop and then do it. So
that's right. You're in the flow, the energy is going, and you get more done when you've got warmed up and you're in the flow. Absolutely, Virginia. And go ahead. I'm sorry. And then I have something to
I
add.
was just going to ask you, what is your zodiac sign? Because I'm Pisces, and this is more creative, and it's hard for us to be the scientific left brain structured that our world really wants. Our world wants left brain people. I'm more right brain, more creative on that. So I'm sure that you're some kind of a right brain zodiac sign that's more creativity.
Actually, I will answer that differently. There's a Myers-Briggs test that many people have taken or whatever. And so when I was working at UCLA at the registrar's office, one of our retreats was to take that test and get feedback and things like that. Well, I always depended on my logical mind. I something solid that I could go and I can think through things, and that's how I rolled. I think I did. I think I did. But the Myers-Briggs tells you, are you more intuitive? Are you more logic? And lots of other things. And I found out that I am split down the middle 50-50. So I am as intuitive as I am logic. And I said, no wonder I can't make any decisions. There's no one winning. But the value of that was then I started to trust my intuition more. And I started to work with it more because it could have been, maybe if someone had handed me a false paper and said, no, this, and I would have trusted it just as much and gotten just as much out of it. I don't know. But I wanted to go back to the project thing.
But you didn't answer
I'm
my
sorry.
question. What's your zodiac sign?
Taurus. I'm Taurus.
Oh,
With
gosh,
Leo, with Leo rising.
I do not picture you as a Taurus at all.
Okay. You're more into it than I know anything about, Virginia. but yeah, I have Leo rising and I'm married to Leo, and Tauruses and Leos are not supposed to really play that nicely together. But anyway, it's all right. So I'm sorry. I wanted to say something about the project thing.
Getting in the flow.
And if I think about it in the next 2 minutes, I'll let you know.
I made you lose your train of thought. I'm sorry.
No,
We're
no,
talking about being in the flow.
It's not your responsibility.
Can I jump in on this? Can I jump in on this? Because I can completely relate to what both of you are saying in terms of getting on that track and not wanting to get off it. And I think that's beautiful. There's times when I've worked till 3 a.m. That's great. Now, I don't multitask. In fact, I would argue that nobody actually multitasks. What they probably do is they bounce from this to that, to that, to that, to that, and elongate the amount of time it takes to get this one done, right? But if we're doing something creative, which Virginia, you're saying that you're more creative. I know the world needs both. Okay, so it's not just about analytics; it's also about, other perceptics as well, and creation. But myself, as in case anybody doesn't know, Gemini. There's 2 of me, right? So I've got both going on. Now I would say I'm more analytical, okay, for what it's worth, okay. But I'm also blessed with my secret weapon in the other office, Shannon, right? And she's got other skills and perceptics than I do, right? And vice versa, right? There's definitely strengths and weaknesses. So anyway, those are my thoughts on that.
I got to throw in something when you said Gemini, because my ex-husband, where I got the name Pipitone from, we were together 18 years, been divorced since 2006. He was a Gemini. I'm a Pisces. So there's 4 of us in the relationship.
Okay, got it. That sounds fishy.
The one that I can't make up my mind, because I look at it from this perspective, the fish flowing the other way. I look at it from that perspective. I can see the value of both sides. I need a deal breaker, like you said with the Myers-Briggs, which I've taken many times. Need something to push me over to one side or the other. And then the Gemini, I told one of my coworkers one day, and she goes, "Oh, I'm married to a Gemini. You never know who's coming home, do you?"
I was raised by a Gemini.
Well, very good. All right, my friends. The only person who didn't get a word in today was Edward. I know Lindsay had to run. Edward, good to see you, brother. Let's go ahead and wrap up. I actually have to pack, which is something I do like in the last 20 minutes, before I get a roll. I'll be back here tomorrow live on location. So Fun Friday, we'll have a little conversation about fun stuff. In the meantime, you guys have a great day. So good to see you. I know Lindsay already headed out of here. She's already working. She's already selling something. Go sell, Lindsay. I'll see you guys real soon.